doing it. You supposed to be happy you sitting there with Kid L. Why you mad?
The Chappelle podcast.
3, 2, rocking and rolling. We got Jamar in the building. How you doing today, bro?
I'm good.
I seen you go viral on Detroit Rap Daily. You made a song with your students.
Yes, sir.
Which is crazy, right? Did you get any backlash from that, from like the council or anything like that?
No, so we took the, necessary ways of going about everything, even like contacting all the parents, everything. So no negative, all positive feedback from it, and it's really like the most proudest moment of anything I've ever done.
Talk about that experience. Talk about putting it together and why you put it together in the first place. So
me and my students had created a song for our school's talent show the year before, but it was just a holiday song. We did like a Push and P remix. We made it like a Christmas version.
Yep.
So we did that, and like when I came back this school year, because I had left that school and ended up coming back. When I came back that school year, I had told those same students like, hey, like we're gonna make a song again this year, but like this time y'all not gonna make a song with Mr. J. Y'all gonna make a song with Jamar Marreign. They like, hey, bet, like let's do it or whatever. So before the end of the school year came, like that was a goal that I had set. So once the end of the school year was approaching, I'm like, all right, we gotta make this song that I told y'all we was gonna make. And the whole overall process of like writing it with them, recording it with them, everything was just like super rewarding, bro.
Yeah.
Like extremely, like especially because I personally was in a time period where I was starting to fall into like the darkness, and my students was really like the beacon of light that was shining on me like throughout that time, and like they didn't even know that they was like my main motivation to keep me going. So for us to like create something that's so dope that I'm so proud to stand by, because it's really a great song and a great visual.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm really proud of it.
Talk about this dark time that you're going through at that time, if you can. What's happening to you throughout your life that's getting you to this point where your students are helping you kind of see light?
I was just in a space where I was in a relationship that was dishonoring myself.
Damn.
And me like just constantly going back to it and trying to like have faith that it would get better, and then it was just only getting worse. So there was moments where like I would like be like exhausted coming to work teaching because like I was up all night like arguing and stuff like that. Moments where like I've had students be like, hey, Mr. J, like you about to cry. Like I'm like, no, I'm good, man, chill out, go to class before I start shedding tears real quick, So I was just really like just starting to fall like really into like a bad place surrounding this situation. And like soon as that situation ended, like that was right around the time where I started writing my book and started focusing on this song, and like those two things kind of just kept my mind off of it.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than like having relationship problems and having to work the next day. Going to
I
sleep
swear.
like, oh my God, I gotta wake up, and then the whole time you're at work, you're thinking about how you gotta handle what's going on at home, right?
It's a lot, especially because working with the youth, and I know like I care so much, so like working with the youth, I'm always like, dang, like what would my students think about me in this moment? Like if my students was in this type of situation, how would I want them to handle this? And like I know the average teacher don't think like that, but like I'd be really going through certain life situations and be like thinking about them, like how would I want them to react to this,
Right.
And if the way of which I am reacting isn't the most desirable way that I would want them to, like it makes me feel like ultimately like I'm letting them down. Because of course I'm not gonna be perfect, you feel me? But like I do want to be the best example that I can be for them, because I know that a lot of my students like really need that.
Right.
Even if it's moments that they can't see. Like I just want to be that stand-up guy like overall,
Right. It's a very conscious approach because you are an influence on them, right? And so your actions cause a reaction to how they perceive you.
Yeah.
Even if you exude what's actually going on in your mind or not, people can read and feel things like through your energy and stuff. So it's cool that you have that approach to handling your students and yourself. Tell everybody where you're from real quick.
I'm from Detroit. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised. Yeah.
Talk about growing up in Detroit a little bit.
Growing up in Detroit was cool. I love my city. It took me a long time to like really realize like where I'm from for real. Like I feel like once I hit high school, I had like this summer job to where like we learned like so much more about the city and stuff like that. But also just I don't know, like I remember being younger and wishing like I wish I was from like one of the major cities. Like I wish I was from like LA or New York, But it's like being from Detroit is like lit as hell. Like, And it took me a long time to learn that, but once I did, like I really love my city. I love where I'm from.
Yeah.
And we're so we're just different from anybody else, And our music wise, like our music scene here is just filled with so much talent, Like we come from music. It's just the home of Motown.
Yeah, the personalities in Detroit are something else. Like the culture that's been developed here is being very much copied in other areas, and a lot of people are being influenced by the culture of Detroit and the people that live in it. And from the apparel to the styles to the way people talk, act, the music itself, a lot of things are heavily being influenced by Detroit. So
we set the trends.
Yeah, for real. Like straight
For
up,
real.
a lot of trends are coming out here. But it's been Motown forever, so it's like there's a reason for that. Only people could have created Motown and developed what it is for it to be seen the way it comes from the people at the end of the day. Talk about your first steps into entering music. What was on your mind when you first started making music?
When I first started making music, I mean, I've been making music pretty much my whole life for real. I have a heavy influence from my grandmother and my big brother. My brother was a rapper, and my grandma was just like always singing like around the house and stuff like that. No matter what she was doing, like music was always involved. So I really started to take music seriously once I got into high school though. That's when I finally started like recording and releasing and stuff like that, and started to build like a audience. And once I got into my senior years of high school, I started to organize and curate events for local artists within the community. And then I also started to host other events for other platforms here in the city as well. And overall, like, one thing that I'd be wanting to do is just create a platform, because my very first time that I ever performed here, it was just such a huge moment for me, like being able to finally like showcase my work and like receive that feedback and all that, you know. So it's like to have that moment and have that feeling, that just feels like so great to be able to give that to other people, and also be able to give people the opportunity to showcase their catalog on like a major way, meaning like they have a full set instead of just like one or two songs. I feel like that's important and it's like needed here in our scene, especially because like right now the Detroit music scene, the showcases is like so oversaturated. Like the market now, from what it is now, from where when I first started, is in two completely different places. Yeah. Like granted, people was doing showcases back when I first started, of course, but like now it's like, bro, I'm sure there's somewhere we could perform right now. Like there's a stage that we can go sign a list on to be a part of, and a lot of the shows here, all they really care about is the money at the door. You know? Sure. It's not. It's just a money grab. From the artists.
They're in survival mode and profit mode, right? So they're not about losing money or investing in the artist really. It's more about like, okay, how do we convert this to cash?
Yeah.
And get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you can see both sides of it. You can see that if they don't do that, then they'll fail because the infrastructure is not strong enough for them to be able to survive off of giving free showcases.
Yeah.
But it is unfortunate. So how many showcases were you able to offer that really benefited the artist, do you think, that you were a part of?
I can't even put a number on it. So I started doing my shows back in 2016. They were monthly. On top of that, like in the summer, I'll do like shows like weekly and stuff like that. So I've done so many shows, but my shows have now graduated from like being just like a showcase competition to where we were giving out like cover art and like studio time and cash prizes and stuff like that, to now what I've been doing this year is doing intimate concert series. So I had got booked for a couple intimate concert series, and they had introduced me to something that like I haven't been a part of before, and I was just like, dang, like I feel like our music scene here needs this, because like I said, the other shows is just one or two songs, and or it might be two songs and you get there and they're like, hey bro, we only got time for one. So I'm like, dang, and now I want to create a platform to where artists have like a 20-minute set and they could do, you know, a full show and bring a band and like invite out their supporters and, you know.
No, that's dope. I know you got the Night of No Sleeps but Full of Dreams concert series
Nights
going on.
Nights of No Sleep but Full of Dreams.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome that you know, is that part of the movement for you? And was that a way of helping to push everything?
Everything.
And talk about that series and talk about the start of it and the progression of it.
So when I first started, I did this showcase called the Summer 16 Showcase, because that was the summer that I started, and I didn't even host the first one. Like I wasn't even hosting events at this time. I had one of my friends, Brianna B, hosted the first one, and then after that, I was on the mic like a couple times, and my friends was like, "Hey, bro, like, I feel like you should start hosting events. Like I feel like you can do it. Like you would be really great at that." I'm like, "All right, bet." Like so, then the following ones I started to host it myself. Once that showcase series ended because the summer was over, the venue owner, you know, wanted the show to continue. Artists was hitting me up like, "Hey, bro, when the next show?" Like it was a vibe. And throughout that time, I had hosted a show for DJ BJ up at the Bullfrog, if anybody on the music scene know, it used to be this spot called the Bullfrog on Telegraph. I had hosted there, and like that night, I was so BJ is somebody I look up to, so I was like really excited about hosting his showcase. And like that night, I just kind of like stayed up just in my thoughts about like what I got to do next, what I got to do differently. Like I'm always like that. Like no matter what the accomplishment is that I'm doing, like I'm always like, all right, but I could have did this differently. I could have, man, I should be in this spot, and I should da 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 da. So the next day I went to class. I graduated from Eastern. I went to class, and my professor used to always start off class asking us where we come from, and it could be something literal or something figurative. And as an artist, like I always try to give figurative answers. So that next day I was like, I'm coming from a night of no sleep but full of dreams. And then after I said it, I was just like, dang, like that kind of sound dope, you know? And then I started the shows back and named it that.
That's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Once you say something in your head one time and it's like, that's the thing. I don't know what the fuck it is, but that is the thing.
Yeah.
It just clicks, right? So now that you've been establishing yourself in the music scene, you've been giving opportunities to artists that are upcoming and need opportunity and platforms, like you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You're building yourself up as an artist, and you're going viral on TikTok a lot. You know what I mean? Which is awesome to see.
Thank you.
And you're also just like heavily involved in bringing more of a positive vibe to the scene. You know, and I really like that. But talk about going viral on TikTok a little bit. Talk about how it happened, because right now rappers are really trying to stay away from TikTok, but they're becoming more open to it just because they're seeing people get hundreds and thousands and millions of views. What made you enter TikTok, and talk about going viral on TikTok itself?
Before I was an educator, I used to be a server, and one of my managers at my job, shout out to Mar, she used to always be like, bro, you need to post on TikTok. I promise you, your stuff will take off. You got to be consistent, yada yada. And once I started to be an educator, I started to post on there more. Because there was like a whole lane for like educator content on there. And I had a poem that one of my students wrote. So I thought, and I had recited the poem in front of the class, and then like it just went crazy. Like, but once it went crazy, I found out the student actually didn't even write it. Like she had plagiarized it from a girl off TikTok. So like TikTok had exposed the student. So then I made a follow-up TikTok about talking about plagiarism and how we shouldn't copy other people's work and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I had like a student that could sing, but she had stage fright. And I recorded her singing in class, and like that video like took off and did well too. So those are the first two videos that went viral, and then ever since then I just been staying consistent and really just tapping into being a content creator.
It's pretty cool to see that the parents and the schools really acceptance of it, because I know there was like a girl named Drippin' Honey. She made a video with her students, and I think she got fired from teaching after that. She probably didn't do all like the necessary like, you know, filing and papers and talking to people, but she went and made a post in Detroit Rap Daily about her getting fired. And then there was another teacher in like Texas that got fired for doing that. But it seems like they're very acceptant of you doing that. Like it's pretty cool to see that, right?
Yeah. The girl that's from here, I followed her like before that situation happened. So shout out to her. But from my understanding of the situation, I think she shot the video afterwards. So I think she got fired just for being a rapper. I think that like there was like parent complaints about her rapping and maybe like the content of the things she was discussing. I'm not fully sure of the whole situation, but I think that the video of her shooting the video with her students came after her being fired. After her being fired, as like a follow up to that. But yeah, with me and my students, like the song is positive. It's a positive song, positive message, positive video. Like I said, parents were contacted, and you know, building administration was approved.
You being a teacher, I want to break down into that a little bit. You're still teaching right now, or are you exiting the school?
Yeah, I'm actually exiting. So this is my last year as an educator. Which the song and me releasing my first book, The Invisible Boy, was like my way of like including this, you know, this journey.
Are your students sad and shit?
For sure. I'm even sad. Like it's definitely bittersweet, but I just feel like it's time. Like I didn't plan on like teaching forever.
How many years have you taught?
I've been teaching for the last 3 years.
Okay, and so breaking that down a little bit for parents, like I'm sure some general questions they would have about teaching. Which school system? Hey, can you talk about the school system that you're at, or what school you're at?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I work at Redford.
Okay,
so
Redford
Academy. It's a charter school.
For sure. What are you noticing as far as the education system right now? Do you think it's in line with helping the Detroit and Metro Detroit area as far as much as impact as they can have on the kids, they are having on the kids, like the investment that the schools are putting into the system to make sure that the kids are getting the best results as far as education is concerned? Or do you feel like there's a lot of lacking and a lot of needs that are not being met for the students?
I feel like a little bit of both. I feel like at the school that I was working at in particular, I've been able to watch our school like grow in a lot of different areas and improve in a lot of different areas. When I first got there, that school was like in like very bad conditions, but that is what motivated me to stay there because I wanted to make impact. So it was like, okay, like even when it was times where it was tough, I'm like, dang, bro, like this is what you wanted to do though. Like you wanted to make impact. Like this is where your impact is needed. So you need to kind of see it through. So I've watched us improve in a lot of ways as a school overall, behavior wise, but also academically. But there is a lot of areas to where I do wish that there could be more support, especially when it comes to like serving our students who maybe have disabilities or maybe just have that achievement gap and just be below grade level, getting them up to where they need to be, and also just making sure that you have great teachers, because there was also times where I've seen us be in a position where I'm like, bro, I don't even know why they're here. Like I could tell that like you're just trying to get a check and like you don't even care about what these kids are learning. But I've also watched us come from that, and like I feel like the staff that I just left, we had a really great staff of people who like actually cared about the kids and wanted to help them meet those goals to pass those standardized tests and stuff like that.
Right. Where are you going after your teaching is over?
I'm trying to figure that out.
Damn.
I know that I since I've been working in event curating, I definitely want to like get into event planning, get into broadcasting. I had like my own radio show for like quite some time. So like I'm really trying to figure it out. I don't really know exactly where things are going to go, but crazy enough, like things have been so like divine lately, it feels, to where it feels like the stars have just been aligning and like God has been doing like amazing things. So like I trust that wherever I end up, you know, that I'll be well. But I do know that no matter what, I'll always be teaching. You know what I'm saying? I just don't want to be teaching in a classroom setting. So like ideally I would like to have like run an after school program or something like that, because I have had previous work and like doing stuff like that. So I'm figuring it out.
Yeah, it sounds like you want to reach a bigger mass of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it is good to be able to teach like 20 kids at a time, but imagine if you could teach 1,000.
Exactly.
Something like 10,000. Talk about, you know, you had a book release not too long ago, but talk about The Invisible Boy.
Yes, sir. I'm so proud of this, man. I just released my first book. It's called The Invisible Boy. I'm super excited to become an author. The book is inspired by my journey as an educator. So like I said, I've been teaching for the last 3 years, and throughout that time, I did have an after school program where I worked with students within the performing arts. So like I've been able to help them like grow and hone in on their talents. And one student in particular, I've literally watched him be able to overcome his stage fright and like really just like realize his value and his worth. So there's like moments in the book where like I tell him like, hey bro, like I noticed like during our class discussions, like you don't realize that like we want to hear what you got to say too. Like I want you to know that your voice is important and that we want to hear what you have to add to the conversation. Like don't let other people overtalk you and things like that. And throughout my time teaching him, he's like bro be releasing songs on BandLab and like releasing songs on like YouTube like every week and like really just like he's becoming like this star that I knew that he was at the moment that I met him. So like The Invisible Boy is essentially inspired by him, and yeah, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, that's fucking cool, man. It's cool to see that the students' stories are being expressed in some type of way.
Yeah.
Especially those students that do feel like that they're expendable, like they're there and nobody cares that they're there and shit like that. That's
and
like
it's something that we can all relate to, you know,
Yeah.
like we all have those moments where we feel like we're not being seen or that people don't appreciate us or value us. I mean, even me, like there's a lot of moments where I don't feel seen. So even when I'm at shows and like people walk up to me, they're like, hey bro, I listen to your music, da da da. Like I always reply back and be like, bro, thank you for seeing me. Like that means a lot to me because I be feeling like, you know, sometimes nobody does.
Yeah, I seen Dave Chappelle one time. I used to be like a huge fan. I'm still a fan of Dave Chappelle, but I used to read stories about people meeting him, and if you would walk up to him and be like, yo, I love your comedy, he would literally stop what he's doing and like walk up to you and shake your hand, like, oh, I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't just be like, oh, for sure, and just walk away. He would be like, oh, thanks, and he would talk to you about it.
That's
It's like,
real.
people are still super, super appreciative, and it's important, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're not appreciative, that means you're making yourself exclusive.
Yeah.
And if you make yourself exclusive, then there can never be inclusivity in what you're doing. People aren't going to gravitate towards you because you made yourself so fucking exclusive.
Yeah.
Except for like kids that are just totally starstruck, or kids that are totally like, oh, Nicki Minaj did this, or Cardi B did that, and it's like they're just engrossed by the fucking fact that you're famous. It's hard to reach those people, but your message is bigger than that, right? Your message is bigger than fame and bigger than
For sure.
just trying to make people follow you for success. You actually want to inspire people and help people head towards consciousness, right? Talk about
My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say like, and it's also like great to see. Like I just feel like at the end of the day, like faking it till you make it is like one thing, but also like being genuine and being authentic and like really just being yourself and really like giving people love that give you love, like that gets you like so much further. And I think like people like when I was doing my shows, like when Brittany was on my show, like it was one of the best shows we ever had, but like I've had her back on my shows multiple times because like her energy just felt so genuine. And even like I've been able to watch Sada Baby become the Sada Baby that he is today. Like he used to do like shows with us and like be on like the same platforms as local artists, but like watching him be to where he's at now. And then I see him at an event and he like, yo, what's up, Tez? Because I used to go by Tez. I'm like, oh, what's up, bro? Like I didn't think you would speak to me. He like, bro, I know you. Like, why would I not speak to you? Like,
God
I ain't
damn
about
it.
to.
That's why. That's why I had to. Yeah,
that's how you did.
I used to know you as Tez.
Yeah, I used to go by Tez Huncho.
Yeah, man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Now everything makes sense. Yeah, damn it.
Yeah.
So why'd you go from Tez to Jamar? Or like, what made you make the switch?
So once I released my documentary on YouTube back in 2021, it was like me coming out. So once I came out on my documentary, I wanted to like just be true to my most authentic self. Not saying that Tez isn't, true to me either, but Jamar is my real name. So I wanted to go by my real name and just fully like walk in my purpose.
Yeah, I watched that documentary. I know with your you had the discussion with your sisters first.
Yeah.
You really opened up to them about coming out. And for me, it's like, I always had a problem with people, looking at anybody's sexuality in any type of way or anybody's lifestyle or however they're living in any type of way. With Detroit, I'm not saying everybody in Detroit, but with Detroit, sometimes it gets ruthless. Like if somebody comes on my podcast and there was a girl who was here, she was bisexual or something like that, and everybody went off on her in the comments, like, "Oh, what are you doing, this and that?" And I've had, people.
When my documentary came out, I got reposted on Hip Hop Lab. They was going in on me in the comments,
What'd they
like
say?
crazy. I really wish I remember. I wanted to make a YouTube video where like replying back to all the comments. I just never got around to it. But like, yeah, they was going in for sure.
What'd you say that made people go off on you, like, or just go crazy?
Just me coming out. Yeah, like the documentary wasn't nothing like crazy other than that. Like it was just literally letting people know like who I am, what I do, like where I've come from, where I plan on going, and that.
Do you remember the day you realized like you're making that shift, or like internally what happened?
I remember like never thinking that the two lives could like exist together. Like I could never be a rapper and be gay. So like the moment where like I had to like wrap my mind around like the possibility of that actually being a life that could exist, is when I was just like, all right, like. I also thought like, what if the main thing that I thought was holding me back would have been like the main thing that could like get me to where I wanted to go. Like, what if me, being my authentic self is like what ended up opening the door for me, type of thing. And I also was just like in love at the time, and I'm just not somebody who like likes to hide my love. Like I'm somebody who like I'm just really like PDA type of thing. Like even in high school, like I did like a prom proposal to my girlfriend, like in front of like our whole school. And like I'm just like this show off my love type of person. So I feel like I just reached a point to where like I had to realize that it was just me. Like it wasn't nothing that I could run from. It wasn't nothing I could change. It wasn't nothing I could pray away. Like it was something I had to accept. And I think for so long I was trying to be everything but that. Like, so that's why I always tell people like, and that's one thing I wanted people to learn from me and from my story, because a lot of times like we just don't be understanding other people. So that's why we have so many disagreements and stuff like that. But like essentially I wanted people to understand like this isn't a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like if I could choose to be straight, I would love to be straight. You feel me? Like if anything, I've tried my whole life to be straight, and try to force myself to be that. But this is something I can't run from. Like this is literally who I am. So once I had to accept that, then it was like, okay, well.
So coming out to your sisters for you was the most comfortable situation for you to tell people like, hey, this is my life decision now. Yeah.
I feel like it's like easier coming out to women first, for me at least. So all my conversations are like the women, like the important women in my life. Like I made sure that
Did any of your family members, were they not accepting of it?
Yeah, for sure.
Or how did you respond to this not being accepted about certain family members?
It didn't really matter to me, because it mattered to me most like what I cared about and like my happiness overall. So even like now looking back, like there is moments where I'd be like, damn, like maybe me coming out has like hurt certain things, hurt certain relationships, or even hurt, certain moves career-wise. But overall, the outcome of like my happiness and my joy and my personal freedom is what matters most.
Did it actually impact your career? Like, did coming out impact your career?
I feel like it. I definitely know it didn't like I don't think it benefited me. You know, I don't think it hurt me overall, but I don't think it benefited me either. Like I lost like hella followers that year. Like
Really?
yeah, and even when I was going, because I was heavy into like the showcase scene and like the music scene and like, you know what I'm saying. So like even when I was going out to shows, like I felt weird about approaching people and people approaching me because I didn't know like how the city received me for real. And like a lot of times, like a lot of these people would just be so much fake love too. So it was like so many people that have approached me at shows, but like I've heard like them say otherwise when the documentary was released. So like it was a challenge, and you would think that like me coming out would have made me like more confident overall. But like after me coming out, like I really struggled with my confidence, which if anybody know me as Tez Huncho before, like I was always just like really confident person, or at least that's what people perceived me as. But like I started to struggle with my confidence and stuff because of it.
So, in retrospect, do you kind of regret telling people? Like, could you have just been like the way you want to be without telling people, or do you not regret telling people career-wise?
So I think at times, there's times, if I'm being completely honest, there's times where I do. But overall, definitely not. Like I said, the outcome of my personal happiness, my personal freedom, that matters most than anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I know that like I've reached a place that I wasn't at before, you know? And anybody that knows me could speak to that, like, damn, like you more open, or you more, you know, like I just don't care about anything. Like that was the only thing I've ever cared about people knowing.
Was your last relationship the one you were talking about earlier with the woman that you were dating from high school, or was it a guy?
No. So I had a girlfriend in high school, and before that relationship I've dated nothing but girls, and then my first like really real relationship with a guy was the relationship like I came out with within the documentary, and then I just recently had like my second relationship, which they both was toxic and traumatic.
How does it get toxic?
Niggas is just fucked up. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. And then it's also just like tough. Like I would say like navigating through like same-sex relationships, just because like especially when like you are somebody that's like masculine presenting, or I don't know, maybe it's in any dynamic, but like just like that whole male on male, like when it comes to conflict, like it can really get up there because it's like, hey bro, like we don't really know how to love like another male, so it's like you just want to take it there, if you know what I mean. So it's like it goes further than what a healthy relationship should.
You think it could get worse than like being with a woman? Like, because that shit can get crazy for sure. I've had violent screams with my ex like a lot of times.
I don't know if it gets worse or not, because with same-sex relationships, the issue oftentimes in those dynamics is that the woman would imagine that this man was taught that the golden rule is to never hit a woman, which they use that to their advantage to like, all right, I'm gonna smack you up, you know what I'm saying? So now you got the woman hitting on the man all the time, and then when he finally reacts, then it's like this big old thing. Like I know that happens a lot, so I don't know if I can speak to it being like worse.
Damn. Do you find when you walk around in the city as a couple, did you find acceptance from the city? Did you find like it comfortable to be able to do it, or were people not even able to acknowledge it?
I've had both. I've had spaces that felt safe. I've had spaces to where, you know, like me and my partner in the club, and it's like, it's been an issue.
For real?
Yeah.
Where?
That actually just happened not too long ago.
What happened?
During like the NFL draft weekend. I don't really know what happened because like my friends that was around me, like they was all like protective of us. So I don't really think they like even shared like all the details, but I definitely know like stuff was being said, and that like one of my friends went back and forth with the guy that was like, I guess he was like ultimately like trying to get us put out the club or something. Like I don't know what the situation was overall, but like it was a lot.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So do you as far as dating in Detroit, I know there is kind of like it's not fully totally accepted. I know it's becoming more accepted. I know athletes and major celebrities are all coming out and sharing their lives, but
yeah,
as far as it's concerned, do you feel like there is a way for people to have more understanding towards it, or is it just like people are kind of hardwired and there's no other way to understand it besides the fact that it is what it is?
A little bit of both. Like sometimes it does just take, you know, having a conversation and gaining that understanding. Like I do think that most people think that it's a choice, and I do think that most people like just can't accept the fact like this is just who I am, you know. And that's why I think when my documentary came out, like that was something I really wanted to get across to people, because I feel like the average person just doesn't understand that. It's just like, I don't know if people just thought I would be like, I'm about to mess everybody's mind up and just drop this documentary, and like no, like this is really my life. Like it wasn't, you know, with that intent.
Are there other artists that are like hiding in the scene, do you think? Like that are were at the same point as you, or like they don't want to come out?
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of other like gays will like make that like a messy moment. Like, yeah, of course there's other people in the scene and like throw a little shade to that. But like everybody got their own, you know, their own walk, you know what I'm saying? And some people will come to terms with themselves later on in life and finally accept it. Some people may never will, and some people may just, you know, stay DL for forever. And like that's okay too, because at the end of the day, it's really nobody's business. You feel me? Like as long as you doing whatever you need to do in life, you know, who it is that you love or whatever, like it really shouldn't matter. But at the end of the day, like there is people who it's a struggle, you know. Like I know for me, like when it comes to me and my sexuality, for like a very long time, I was in a really, really dark place because of it. Like, and nobody knew, you know what I'm saying? So like there's people who think that like they're better off dead than being their authentic selves. And I know for a fact because I was one of those people. So it's like, I hate when people like make light of the struggle, especially when it's like, oh, it's 2024, like just come on out, bro. Da, 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 da. Like you don't know what people's background is. You don't know what they've been taught growing up. You don't know how bad they've been taught that this is, you know, that this is. So it's really a struggle to accept that for certain people.
Yeah, bro, I'm not gonna listen to any of that when freaking mainstream celebrities wait till they retire before they say anything.
Yeah.
If they had felt the need to hold it within themselves until after retirement, then that definitely means it's impacting their career and relationships in some type of way.
Yeah.
People have, bro, I hear all I'm not gonna say a lot of my friends, but I always, when my friends see any type of thing, we're not even just talking about relationships, they'll see certain things and just judge the hell out of people for stuff that's like, that's their life decision. Why the hell are you going so crazy about something that's their life decision?
Yeah.
You know, I want to talk about, you know, one thing that was cool that you were talked about is watching the transformation of some artists that you've had at your events. I met Sada in 2016, late 2016. I got to watch his growth too, which was very a force of nature, which was insane. To this day,
Sada's
to me,
an amazing artist.
After T Grizzly came out, I thought that, I mean, you know, when I say come out, you know what I'm saying? But when T Grizzly approached the scene and dominated the scene, I felt like Sada Baby was like the next one that really, really dominated the scene and took it in a completely different direction. Those guys were like yin and yang as far as approaches to the scene and the dominance of it. But talk about the transformation that you've seen within him and some other artists that you've had on your showcases.
Like I said, LaBrittany is another one who I've been able to witness her come up, and she's just always been super real and super genuine. I think it's great for artists like myself and just artists, you know, in general, to have those examples of what makes it real. You know what I'm saying? So like to see somebody that you actually know go from this level to that level, like for me, even Zay Hilfiger, like I used to be around Zay, and like that was one of my friends. Like I was watching, you know, his song like take off, and like now to see Lil Bro on like award shows or like in the same categories as like, you know, or even on Ellen and like all those things, it was just like, wow, like this is real. Like, you know what I'm saying? You could really, like, this can happen overnight, you know, not overnight because it was a build up, but like it can happen, you know? So I think that it's great to have those examples like Zay, like LaBrittany, like Sada. These are people who I've actually seen like before they were able to reach the stardom from the same place as I am, and they're actually cool people. So where it's like, damn, like, you know, like this is really real. Like this can really happen. This can really be me.
For sure. Is there any projects or any events that you want to announce? Anything you got coming up?
So the song Down Bad, the video is out now on YouTube, the song that I made with my students. This was my first time even releasing music in a while. So like they were actually able to help me like get back into tapping into myself musically. So now I have been like writing and recording again. So I definitely plan on releasing new music soon. I just had my 3rd annual all white affair called the Jamar Marreign show. It was just when was that? Saturday? Just past Saturday. So that was super dope.
Talk about the show.
It was amazing. Like it was a good vibe. I had me and some of my other favorite like local artists. We all was in all white cocktail attire. We had it at Detroit Pizza Bar. It was a vibe. Like I said, this was the 3rd time doing it. So like I really, for a long time, I was like kind of scared to do a show surrounding myself. But like once I'm just all about like just knocking down those certain things that I just feel like I can't do type of thing.
Cool.
I have learned that like on the other side of fear is joy. So like if there is things that you just scared to do, like just do it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it for real.
Yeah.
So yeah, that, and then A Nice No Sleep, A Full of Dreams intimate concert series takes place every every month. I have been doing them at Detroit Waffle Cafe, but for the second half of the year, we're looking at some different places of moving the show to. So I would just say stay tuned. And any artists out there that want to ever perform or be a part of any of my shows, just follow Nights and No Sleep, which is on Instagram at Nights of No Sleep, or you can go to nightsandnosleep.com.
How many people usually are attending the events right now for you?
So it's a range because I went from doing like the showcase competitions to where like, and like I said, the scene was different then. So like my shows used to like really be like crazy for real, like 200-300 people. But now I've moved on to doing the intimate concert series. So it's a smaller venue, smaller space, smaller lineup. We only do 3 headlining artists and they have 20-minute sets. So it's a crowd of like 30-40 people.
Cool.
But it's intimate. It's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like you can like actually connect with those artists and see them do more than just 1 or 2 songs, you know?
For sure. This was an awesome talk, man. I appreciate you doing this. I appreciate hearing the stories from your ability to consciously help your students grow and to sacrifice part of who you are to invest into them.
Yeah, I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, and also to talk about your own personal life that I know it's very hard for artists to talk about that are going through that, but I think it's going to be revolutionary.
Yes,
I think
sir.
if you keep pushing it and pushing it, I think people are gonna look past whatever they feel, however they feel about something that's totally ignorant. At the end of the day, people's feelings towards how somebody else's lifestyle is, as long as that person's not hurting anybody else or destroying somebody else's life, you have no right to place judgment upon anybody else's life. So you coming out and really showcasing that you're confident about this and that you're still pushing your career and your personal life is really inspiring, and hopefully a lot of people take that journey. Appreciate you doing this. Jamar, Parallel Sound Studio, Hollow Vision, shooting these productions. We're out. Peace.